Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of The More Show. Now, my returning guest today is Jen Ward. Now, Jen is a dynamic healer, executive coach, and group facilitator. She has also devoted her life to helping others unlock their true potential. Now, she's an accomplished writer, poet, and she joins me today from Australia to discuss areas of her work and her latest book, Jenuine Poetry for Life. And we'll also touch upon her most popular book as well, the SFT Lexicon. Jen Ward, welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
So firstly, I just want to say congratulations to yourself and Marvin. We'll just play a little bit of your wedding video there.
Thank
You're now fully based in Australia. I don't know, which part of Australia are you based in, Jen?
Wodonga.
Oh, right. Whereabouts is that then?
It's almost halfway between Sydney and Melbourne.
Right. Okay. Wow. Oh my God. So this has been a massive change for you then.
Beautiful. I love it here. It feels like home.
Oh, do you know what? That's so good to hear you say that because I was going to ask you that. Yeah, because obviously coming from New York and being in America all this time, it's a big shift.
Well, New York, I was in the suburbs of, upstate in Rochester, New York. But still, it was a relaxed pace, but this is just, it's like dying and going to heaven and not having to leave
Oh,
your
that's so
body.
good.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. Oh my God, I can't imagine the changes. And I know this wasn't something just rushed into. You guys got to know each other, and even if it had been rushed into, and some people it does happen, doesn't mean it can't work out. Do you know what I mean?
Well, we've known each other because I can read Akashic Records. We've known each other forever. He's my soulmate. And the last time we were together was 900 years ago.
Bloody
So
hell.
I know still hears about it. And I still cry at him about that.
Well, that's so good to hear that. It's so just tell the audience a bit about Marvin, working with Marvin, and about your latest book as well.
Marvin and I consider ourselves like surrogates for humanity. And in my latest book, if I can mention Genuine Poetry for Life, I have to make Marvin fall in love with me. He already was, but he wouldn't admit it as much. So I wrote him steamy, erotic poems every single night for 30 days and stuff. And every morning I would read them to him. So those are all in the erotic chapter of the book. Yeah.
Well, we all need a few of those sometimes, I'm sure. I've not actually seen the book, is the truth. I know that the book is only available, am I right, on your website?
Yeah, for now.
Yeah, okay. So we'll link all that in the description below. But obviously, you've got the some of the personal writings in there as well. But actually, a lot of this came from. Would you say a lot of it was channeled? A lot of the poems, do you think, or?
So the thing is, the only people, I don't consider what I do as channeling as much as talking to others. And so a lot of the poems were written by trees. And so, and to be honest with you, I think a lot of the musicians like John Denver and those real special who are into nature, they were channeling nature and they were getting songs directly from the trees.
So let me get this right. So was this when you say the trees? Was this the trees back in New York, or was this over in Australia?
Well, the trees here, they talk to me, but not too many have given me poems yet. There's specific trees that have given me certain poems. Like there's one poem that I helped a tree not get chopped down, and he gave me this poem in it called One Little Human. And it's profound about how much one little human can do to change the world.
No, absolutely. Oh, okay, now we're going to read that out. I'll just make a note of that. One little human. We'll read that out in a
Well,
bit.
we can read that one, but we can also read the dichotomy. So there's one little human, the dichotomy, which is the what damage a human can do.
But you've shared everything in this book then. I mean, you've
Everything.
yeah, but there was am I right to say this, that it's taken you quite a bit to express your poetry, because I don't think that was something that you were doing before.
Well, my artwork is in this. I drew this. I drew this picture. Marvin encouraged me. I had I had stopped writing my poetry when I was a teenager. I was told it wasn't good enough. So I had stopped, and I had stopped doing my artwork because life happens. But then Marvin encouraged me to write like little doodles for the book. And from there I started to actually do really more serious. So this is one of my doodles for the book.
That's great. Wow, that's pretty good.
Thanks. And yeah, so here's we're actually selling my original artwork on my website, and this one's already sold though. So if people want to buy one of my art pieces before I get really famous, they can have one of my pictures if they go on and make just a reasonable bid.
So everything's going to be linkable in the description below, and let's just go to the core of what your work is as well, because obviously we've done a number of interviews. Those interviews will link in the description below as well, so that people can go back to watch them. But if you just very briefly, what is the core of your work as well? Because obviously you've got your first book, which has just been republished, I think, which is the Lexicon NFT.
Marvin edited this, and now it's like mainstream. It's like a textbook for life. Anyone who wants to be their own spiritual dynamo without, a lot of people don't trust other people anymore. So if you don't trust anymore, there's actually protocols in here for that. The spirit guides helped me make, where you just write the issue in and you do some SFT tapping on each issue, and it really helps empower people who have been so screwed and so that they don't know who or what to believe anymore, so they can just do it on their own without ascribing to someone else. And that's actually the core of the work I do, is to untangle everyone from lifetimes of lies, conditioning, unworthiness, false humility. I see their Akashic records, I see their core issues, I see what they've pulled in as pain in this lifetime, and then I just cut, like medical intuitive, I just cut right to the bone of energetically of what they need to release, give them those issues, I release them. Now what's really awesome is I have this session that's like a really more reasonable price point, because I can't do this work without feeling really sick, because I'm actually literally there with the person, feeling it and taking it out. But if we have a more affordable price point where someone can message me, they tell me what the issue is, I tell them what the core issues are to release, we meet for 10 minutes or so, and then I release as much as I can for them, and then train them how to do the tapping for themselves and how to use it as a lifelong technique to keep themselves on track.
That's incredible. Yes. Well, your work is incredible, because I've had a sample of your work, but I know that many people have had sessions with yourself that have come across your work, and it's been so helpful for them to go as deep as you do. And it's also they're doing it themselves. Your work sort of cuts out in the end the sort of middle person, and they're able to do the taps by themselves. They're able to come up with new taps by themselves as well, because you can do a tap about any issue that you're suffering from, can't you?
Yeah, and the beauty of it is, I've told you before that I am Madame Blavatsky, and I was Madame Blavatsky in that past lifetime. And I had made a lot of groundwork in that lifetime. And I saw how people would bastardize anything that you say and stuff. So I don't need to be the center of attention. Like, I already had that experience with her. And I saw how it just doesn't work out for anyone. So that craving of power or being whatever, it's just not in my repertoire, it's not in my makeup.
No.
So,
and I remember your story, because I get a lot of people on, but I do remember yours. Yes, you've been on a few times, but what I remember is you've been all through different types of experiences from the, a very difficult upbringing, which sort of shaped the person that you are now. But obviously, you've also been through the joy as well of life, and you're in that space right now. So really, anybody that comes to see you for help, you can really sympathize with those that are going through a difficult time as well, can't you?
Yeah, well, I'm like grateful and surprised that I didn't turn out to be a sociopath. And it's like I always have to check myself. Well, I love animals. I wouldn't hurt anyone. I cry at commercials, and so I have to check myself because I grew up in such extreme conditions that yeah. So the the more the more that I understand what I'm capable of doing, what any human is capable of doing, the more outflow that's necessary to keep that balance. So it's not about being worshiped or gaining followers or whatever. It's about staying balanced in the awareness that I've accrued. And the same is true for Marvin in the business world, because Marvin does for businesses what I do for individuals, and he's a genius in doing that. But the thing is, when people get Marvin now, they get a twofer, because any business that wants Marvin's business genius gets my energetic help as well, because we're here to upgrade all of humanity through business so that they're not a victim anymore. Like, I teach people not to be a victim of other people who are going to tell them what to do. And Marvin is working on training businesses not to victimize workers or humanity or society. It's really clean.
Oh, it's beautiful, and I just want to say this as well, that you can catch Marvin and Jen on their show that you do together. You do a number of productions, well, a number of content, shall I say, together. But I think the main one right now is Jen in her jammies. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. And it's really funny because if you watch the older Jenuine James, you can really see how Marvin does not know what to do with me. It's just comical. He's trying to figure out what the freak I'm saying, and he's experienced my work, so he knows there's something to it. So it's not like he can walk away like other people, because he's just so enthralled with, being in love with me now. So he's got to work through it, and it's so funny to watch.
I think you guys, you both really balance each other. I think that's beautiful to watch as well. And it's going to be interesting to see where you both go with this work right now as well. And, obviously, as you say, you're here to help humanity.
We both are, yeah.
Yeah. And, with the times that we're in right now, currently, there's been a lot of shifts since we last spoke. There's a lot of things going on in the world, Russia and all sorts of stuff's going on right now.
Yeah.
Where does your work fit into the larger picture, do you think, when it comes to world healing as well?
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? So, yeah, most of my work is doing so any group, I'm a shaman too, so I know how to move energy. I know how to take energy from one source that's stockpiled it and move it to its rightful place. So a lot of our individual work, and we do this in the subscription group as well, it is we take issues that are violating spiritual law, like power mongers and who are stockpiling people's energy, and we're gashing out those stockpiles and giving it back to humans. That's why humans are getting more empowered to protest and have an opinion, and it seems really messy and awful, but it's because people are no longer in that apathy state anymore. They're angry and frustrated, but they're not subjugated as much. So even though it looks awful, we're actually working to, this sounds awful, narcissistic, but you know me, I'm not a narcissistic, right? So we're working to prevent all the engrams that would be those who want to be nefarious, want to bring on World War III. And they're using psychic means. So it's happening in the psychic realms. It may not look like it, like people on the surface who only live in this one linear world are unaware of the psychic attacks they've been under and how they've been affronted and manipulated in energies. So I can see that. I'm so lucky to be able to see things mentally, past lives, astrally, and I can see those stockpiles of what they're trying to do to humans and knock it off and give it back to the individuals. Like, definitely been protecting Ukraine, if that's okay to say. And that's why, like, these leaders think that they have a clear path to take and to overtake, and it's not working out for them, and they don't know why. It's because their psychic reserves, their mental reserves that they've been using are being dissipated, and that's the work I do individually. And by the way, anyone who asks me what is your purpose will come sign up for the subscription group, and your purpose is to help bring about this transformation into the fifth dimensional higher consciousness. I mean, it's it's a lot of work.
It is, and I'm guessing with that a subscription group as well. And I think we said this off air that you can ask some of the deeper or the more difficult questions that some of the things that we couldn't talk about here right now, maybe right because of sort of restrictions with other people's platforms, which is fine, right? But with the subscription, then it's anything's on the table, and you're able to discuss that, and it's a chance to interact with you as well.
Absolutely, and my that connection with me is more profound than I'm told than I realize. Like, it's like before we got married, you wouldn't even know how many people came to our wedding in the astral plane and said, I was at your house, and they described our this described perfectly the rehearsal where we sat around a table and Marvin was doing all the work running and they said your house was filled with people. Well, it was filled with invisibles because we only had 2 guests and the celebrant's husband. So there were 6 of us, and they said it was so full. And this woman from Africa, she had a dream about it, and she goes, I was wondering why all the people at your wedding were brown. Why were there brown people at your wedding? Because all the elders were here out in the yard because it was outside.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I just just going back to what you were saying there as well, with the way that the world is, and obviously the work that you're doing to it as well. And I know there's so many other people that are pouring that energy or similar energy into trying to help ease this time that we're in right now.
Yeah, we're not trying to ease it. I'm not going to like sugarcoat it. We're trying to shift consciousness to world peace. Nothing short of that. And if Gandhi can make so many shifts in the world in one little human, then imagine when a synergy of a group of us come together with the same intention without using the group for an ego maniac or an ego intention.
And that's interesting you saying that, or even having this conversation when I'm just in a transition with the International Spiritual News Network as well. So that's really, really interesting what you're saying there. And
Yes.
I'm thinking, and little light bulbs are going off right now for future stuff. So,
well, what's exciting about that is a lot of people, they have this muscle memory of trauma. So they see something bad happen, and yes, it's horrific. Yes, it's horrific. But if they can see the spiritual significance of it and how we're watching power be bastardized and how we all have the front row seat, we might as well have our popcorn, not in a irreverent way, but we might as well just learn this lesson of how power is so ugly and manipulates truth and manipulates consciousness, and how it's been getting away with it. And now it's not going to, because of people like you and myself and the truth that you put out there. So it's really profound what you do.
well, likewise, absolutely. And I guess there's bigger reasons, and not obviously marriage and everything else, but there's other reasons, I suppose, why you're in Australia.
Absolutely.
Yes, yeah.
What's really interesting is the life of Madame Blavatsky. She left bread trails for me to come to Australia because she, first of all, her first book was published in my hometown, Rochester, New York, and she would speak about just this flow of energy from the higher realms that was going to come into the world through Rochester, how special it was. And that was the tapping we've done, and all the work we've done for the last 15 years with that so far. And now she talked about Australia being Lemuria too, or like a spiritual city. And then when I met Marvin, and he had the same image of the spiritual land that I had, only a different piece of it. It was like, whoa. So we know that we're guided to create the spiritual center in Australia, and it's such an ethic place.
Very interesting. Very, yeah. So there's all that's going to be happening as well with yourself. And this is all leading into what your bigger purpose is as well, and obviously Marvin's, and again that's representative, I suppose, of people's living in their purpose right now as well in these times.
Absolutely. So many people have cut off from the plushies, and people think that's like, what's wrong with her, right? But there's an innocence with the plushies. It's an inanimate object, but there's a lot of people who are into metaphysics who want to know how to like transform their atoms. Well, thinking only of like carbon-based life as living is like guardrails to keep you out of your metaphysical awareness, because plushies are made of atoms as well. And so the difference between that life is inanimate and animate. But if you can make that segue like children do, it just whittles down those ego things that saying, oh, that's ridiculous. And it's like becoming like as little children, like it says in the Bible, with your creativity and imagination. So all these things that I'm about, and I got a simple mind, and Marvin makes up for it. But all these simplistic things about me are infusing that consciousness into humanity, like people's creativity and imagination. The vibration of those were almost taken away. That childlike wonder was almost dried up, that vibration of those. And what I'm holding space for is the vibration of those in others. And actually the communication with trees is like really profound. Trees are chock full of wisdom. And if you can get over yourself and your belief that humans are superior, you can really tap into these beautiful sources just by not even realize it. You can take it by surprise by just doing what I do, is get a plushie and start, take your crafts that you used to be good at, take the things that you used to enjoy doing and put attention in them. One more thing. And as I like infuse humanity and I hold the space for that childlike wonder, Marvin's my counterpart, because he holds space for integrity in business, ethics, work ethics, drive to get things done, drives to help humanity. So the marriage of our vibrations is profound to uplift humanity.
And I was going to say that I think we all have our favorite spots, don't we? That we like to go back to sometime. There's always that favorite tree there as well, isn't there?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah, that we had a great memory. Yeah. Well, I've had other people on that have talked about the trees, and and how there's consciousness in things in ways that we don't understand. Put it that way. We think we understand.
Well, actually, the subscription group, that's part of one of the things we tackle, is people are now going out and starting their own little forests and understanding the trees. We call it the Druid Brigade. And the trees show me their vision of parks not being just somewhere that you walk and take your dogs, but somewhere where you take your tools to like cut off the vines off their trees and like water them and give them their needs met. So yeah, that's an upliftment in consciousness, all these things. It's not just one thing, it's everything.
It absolutely is. And for those that may be watching this right now, and I'm sure you'll be able to pick up on the energy of some people that are watching this, what is some of the common taps that are useful for people that are watching this, do you think, that are maybe helpful in these times?
Well, they can go on my website, genuinehealing.com, or on page 38 of this book. They can get the protocol, which is like 48 taps or 38 taps, something like that, and do it on the daisy of death. Do it on all blockages to transcending. Do it for all nefarious intentions. Do it for mental distractions, because a lot of spiritual people, there's like a wasteland on the mental realms of all these people who tried to be spiritual, and they got caught up on these different ways to distract them from their spirituality. Do it with their own ego. Do it with being trapped in male energy. Do it in the fear of being vulnerable. Because right now, to be honest, with people like me and Marvin and you and others on the planet, it's okay to be vulnerable. That's your saving grace, is to be vulnerable. And giving your power away, blind faith, old engrams. Engrams are the Akashic records that are programming. There's individual Akashic records that people are reliving, like engrams and muscle memory. So we keep going to war out of muscle memory. We keep going to war because we were taught to do it in past lives. So it's like unconscious. So you can do it without programming and conditioning, all muscle memory, and all engrams. Now, there's some people there who are really good visuals. Can I give you a cutting edge and visual to do? If you're trying to release your own engrams of a problem, see the engrams as like CDs, the old-fashioned CDs that you would pull out. So what you can do is you can see those engrams as things in your spinal column. So between the spinal bones, you can see, and you can pull out the CDs. Like if you're having pain in the neck, it could be a memory of being hung to death, choked, or decapitated. Pull out the CD of that engram and then visualize it being dissipated in divine love. And then take back all the energy as divine love that was wasted in that engram. So you can do that. Only do it for yourself, because there's too much danger in violating and stuff. I can do it for others. I can do it for humanity, and it's really easy. But we have to get to the point of doing the taps and getting past the resistance to doing the taps. So there's some people who are really suffering out there and don't trust anyone. So if they need to do surgery on themselves to help with that, that's a technique they can use and trust.
Yeah, and I guess getting a session with yourself as well, then they can go into as much detail as they want, or really get to some of the cause if they feel that they need a bit of extra support, which a lot of us do, right? I mean, it is helpful. It is good to have that extra support from yourself, especially. But when you get on board with people, you're accessing the sort of the Akaship side of it, the past life side of it, a bit more, are you?
Oh, um, yeah, actually, a lot of people now are struggling with their first time on Earth. So if they feel like they feel like isolated or hopeless or whatever, then we go back to that first life on Earth and being trapped on it. But nobody's story is the same, so it's not like carbon copy. Everybody's story is different. Some people, like who can't finish projects, it's because they died when they were having a great life and then they were killed, and they just, that sucks. So they live that out by not finishing a project and thinking they can't. So there's all these little things that humans do, and they feel sabotaged, like they can't get over it. And it's things that were set up in their past life traumas and the engrams of dying or being murdered. A lot of people who can't sleep, there's a reason they were either like killed in the night, or they were on watch post and they fell asleep, and then their people got slaughtered, and they feel that guilt and the weight of that. A lot of people who are helpers, who love to work with children, have seen genocide in the past. Lots of people who want to help women's causes have been raped and seen rape in past lifetimes, and they just want to undo these things. But there's an easier way, because with a 1 hour session with me, we can go through all of that stuff that's the heaviness on them. And not only can I do a release on that energy from them, I can make whole all those they're feeling guilty about. I just know how to do this. So I can, all the energy that they've been taken from others in a past life of genocide, being the shaman I am and the awareness that I have from the abuse that I've had, I can give it back to everyone they've hurt, because that's my whole thing, is I don't want to hurt anybody.
No, no, of course not. And yeah, like I say, this is deep work, isn't it? Some of this as well. And again, you can do it by yourself. And even after a session with yourself, you can still carry that work on.
There is the ego, the universal mind out there, but the ego for the individual is going to fight them the whole way. So if people don't want to do the taps, they're just not into them. It's resistance from the ego. So if they can just like do taps on the ego, because the ego wants to keep you in suffering. If you've ever read Eckhart Tolle, the ego enjoys that role. And so this is getting beyond. Eckhart Tolle's work was like a breadcrumb to the work I do to help people get beyond the ego, so they can actually transcend everything that they know, even if it's like these spiritual practices that are very eclectic right now, or you have to do this or else you're not spiritual. Anything that puts fear into you in a very subtle way is still a limitation from the ego, because your higher self will never make you afraid. It's all about love. There's always another step. So if you're feeling afraid about something, you got to check the ego and make sure it's not the ego sabotaging your spiritual growth.
And I just, before we go as well, want to listen to a little bit of this poetry, because I think that would be a beautiful thing just to do, because I know obviously this is a book that's dear to your heart, I feel.
Well, this is the poem, I'll say the positive poem that the tree gave to me for helping him. I saved his life by, all his friends got killed around him. So I felt his presence behind me one day. It was like 50 feet tall. And then as I went in the house, I just downloaded this from him. It's called One Little Human. One little human fallen away from the pack can restore hope to the world, bring humanity back. One little human stepping away from the crowd can feel the anguish of the multitudes and voice it out loud. One little human, scarred and nearly broken, can take joy, truth, and love where it's never been spoken. One little human, abiding by love's creed, can heal the whole world. Let's wish it Godspeed. One little human, it may very well be you, can show all other humans what they are able to do. So I think that was a special gift to me. And actually it was a breakthrough poem, because I got published in the Chicken Soup for the Soul, Giving Back. And after that, a couple of years after that, I got my first book together, which was a real struggle. So the trees have been helping me.
That's a really beautiful poem. It's the power, isn't it, that we all have within us that we forget, don't we? That our life does matter, and
Absolutely.
and it touches so many other souls, and it's so precious and it's so special, and when we feel in those times where we don't count, and I wish it would all just stop. That's to remind ourselves just that you were given life for a very special reason, even if you gave it to yourself. And even if you don't believe any of that stuff, just live just live the best version of your life. Come on, you're needed.
And here's the thing: it's not that it stops. It's not like the experiences ever stop or the mind fucks ever stop. You just learn to use them as gauges. When I'm afraid of something, it means, ooh, I'm going to a more deeper, profound space, and something's trying to prevent me from getting there. So I'm getting mind fucked. But that means that I just need to keep going instead of like shutting down. Don't shut down. That kind of thing. But here's we were watching the news one night and Marvin asked me, Jen, let's do something. Why aren't we doing something? So this poem is my way of doing something besides other ways I do things. One little human, the dichotomy. One little human, pathetic and small, is deaf, mute, and blind to humanity's call. One little human, shrouded in greed, refuses the cries that the innocent bleed. Possessed with the notion at insanity's crest, that his actions are justified, his genocide blessed. One little human, a face in the crowd, can personify cruelty commanded out loud. Etched in the heavens is a hell one man inflicts through the horror of war that Ukrainian rebel depicts. One little human, be grateful, it's not you. It's a face of evil intentions and the damage they do.
I think I might know who that's orientated for, right? But that is powerful.
There's a vibration in that. And hopefully, what's interesting, I put that poem up on social media. Not one person saw it. It was like invisible. And it's like, why is it invisible? So there's really these psychic energies trying to dry up consciousness from hearing truth. And so that's why this poetry book is so beautiful. I mean, poetry is so innocent, but this is powerful poetry. It's an amulet for consciousness shift.
Is there any others in there that you might want to read, or?
All right, so I'll show you one of my erotic poems. Want to see one of my erotic drawings?
Yes, sure. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, this is my drawing.
Oh, I think that's a very loving one. That is. Yeah.
Yes, it is. It's very tasteful. But these are poems all I wrote to Marvin as goddess, and he listened to them as man, healing goddess. I am your canvas. Paint me as you will. My body is your acreage. Plant your seed and till. I am your forest. Lay down in my fern. Use me as tinder. Smolder as I burn. You are like the wind to me, calling out my name. An expansion, an expansive impressionist landscape. Allow me to be your frame. The moment that I knew of you is when my life begun. Now I revealed and partaken of you. And now I revel in, I can't see because my eyes are blurry. Now I revel in partaken of you and to taste me on your tongue. You are now my windfall. I lay me at your feet. Every moment I breathe you in, you make this world complete. Please take me with you willingly, wherever you will go. Experience love through our shared eyes. Share everything that you know. Dream with me in pristine lands that exist within the heart. I revel in all that you are.
No, don't even worry. That's tame. That's beautiful. Well, what you're saying there is warts, farts, and everything else. You accept him for who he is, and that's isn't that what it's all about? Is it, accepting one, and none of us are perfect, neither. No one's perfect.
Perfect is overrated. So
isn't it just?
I was just thinking about this, like when women try to be like really beautiful and make up, it's almost like they're targeting themselves for their insecurities. It's like I look at a woman who's like struggling with her weight and tries to be like clean and present, and I just see such sweetness and such vulnerability and so beautiful. So we're driving in and I'll say, wow, she's so beautiful. And he go, Marvin will go, why? What's the beauty? I go, her struggle, and she's still getting up every day, and she's still fixing her hair, and she's still putting it together and like doing her chores. It's It's sacred.
And that woman, or person could be suffering from all sorts of bloody issues. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You look at some people, you'll never know if they're ill on the inside, would you? Do you know what I mean? Cancer's not
Well, I
gonna.
will.
Well, yes, 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 but if you've if you've got cancer, it doesn't always show on the outside straight away, does it? Um, you know,
I'll trust you in that.
well, yes, yes. Well, what I mean is when you just look at someone for the first time, maybe, you don't know what they're struggling with, and we're so easy, aren't we, to judge? Well, especially in America. I mean, the looks and everything else, isn't it? And that's all just bullshit. And
Yeah.
that doesn't last, most definitely. There's nothing wrong with looking beautiful, right? But
Well, it's almost like a shellac over the pain sometimes, and it's everyone has a story. There's 7 billion stories out there, and each one is beautiful and sacred. And even the most, I've worked with people who like millionaires in business and stuff, and they played such a victim to me. It's so funny. It's like here I'm struggling just to like make ends meet, and I'm giving them all their wisdom, and they're trying to make me feel sorry for them. I don't feel sorry for anyone because that's a sand pit. It's just quicksand.
yeah, absolutely, it is. No, thank you. When I thought erotic, I thought, oh God, here we go. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, but
There's worse ones.
I'm
Yeah.
sure, I'm sure there is. But that was very loving, and I think there's a lot of I think, kind of, some of our relationships, aren't we? We do miss the love sometimes, don't we? That genuine love. I mean, where we really truly, have got to know someone and have felt deeply in love with them, rather than just surface level as well.
Well, my biggest fear is like that guy who locked me up for a year. My biggest fear was to come back unconscious in a future lifetime, see him and think that it's love at first sight and get under his spell again. So if people have a stalker in their life, or if they have an ex and stuff, this work is beautiful. I mean, they can just get the SFT and do it with all their exes, all their nasty bosses, all their people who hate them, and there can be a lifetime of work just in that.
Absolutely, yeah, just to forgive our exes, or what we think that they should forgive us for, and really, um, I guess we have to forgive ourselves as well. It
Well,
takes
think of
two.
the word, yeah, think of the word forgive. Forgive means to give before the person is ready to receive it or they've earned the right to receive it. So what the tasks are doing is giving back the person their energy, their sacred essence before they have earned the right to have it back. So my book is all about forgiveness, I think.
Well, I know it is. I know it is, and it's a huge book as well. Now, is that book is that available on your website only, or is that available? Oh, it is. So it's not on Amazon, just your website.
Well, just because I have like 19 books out there and all the books on Amazon, I'm not making any money off of them. And it's like nice. I'm happy for Beso that he's got his great big yacht, his super yacht. But me and Marvin are trying to like do energy work for the creators to like get their reverence, um their revenue back. Thank you, their abundance back, and it doesn't feel like putting it on Amazon is the way to do that.
Yeah. Well, I guess you don't need it. I mean, you've got your own following, and you do shows like this, and there'll be many other shows that you'll be doing where you can build that up. I mean, it's different nowadays, isn't it? I mean, when you first started publishing, it was different back then. And I mean, you've done a number of books which are on Amazon. I mean, I can't remember exactly, but there's a number on there, isn't there? There's quite a few books you've done.
19.
19, right? Yes. Okay. Well, that's quite a few. Yeah. Wow.
And so yeah. And so as we edit each one, as Marvin edits, so Marvin takes my how I have a trouble staying linear. Marvin takes my exponential energy and he puts it into mainstream language so everyone
It's
can
his gift, isn't
appreciate
it,
it
for you? It's his gift for you, absolutely. And
for
yeah,
humanity.
for
It's
humanity, and I'm sure there'll be other books that you've done that maybe one day you'll both go back over and
yeah.
bring up to date, even because there's a lot changed in you and I guess in your work as well, which is exciting actually to see the journey that you're on, the journey that's never stopped. It's still going.
Yeah.
It's great.
And what's really interesting is like about 5 years back, during the Trump years, I was doing battle constantly because what people didn't see until the end, what people are discovering now, I knew before he was elected. I saw it all, and I had to bite my tongue and just put out the truth through the through the taps and everything. And when I put out taps, and then something would happen where he didn't get away with something or something didn't work out for him and he got really angry, is because the world was on a certain trajectory path of negativity, like artificial intelligence, apathy, and all that stuff. And now, no, it's going back to an organic, beautiful existence for humans. And so the trajectory where it was going to be overtaken and subjugated totally is pissed off at the shifts. And so in energy, I've been doing battle. So with Marvin at my side, I'm safer to just be nice. I don't have to be defensive all the time because the very fact that we made it together, we were supposed to do this together 900 years ago, and that failed. And so the fact that we're doing it now, we've gotten over a tipping point where, it's really exciting that we're together for humanity because it means that goddess is going to be respected and there's going to be a balance returning to the world.
Absolutely. Well, I just want to thank you for for what you're doing and sharing your journey. That's one way to say it. And just everything that you've come here to do as well, and everything that we've spoken about again is linked in the description below. And you give these sessions to people all over the world. This is all done via Zoom or Skype or whatever people are using, but mainly Zoom. And yeah, I guess time zones and stuff. You can work through that.
Absolutely. We wake up in Marvin's a taskmaster. He wakes up before sunrise. We get up at 3 in the morning, and that's our morning. And so we work with other people's timelines because we're respectful of that.
Sure. No. Well, and I guess for yourself, it was still adjusting. It's okay for you, but yeah, that's yeah, there's some long days, but no, thank you for sharing that. And just remind us of your website just one last time.
It's Jenuine Healing with a J. And you can find me on Twitter with Jenuine Healing as my handle. And on YouTube, Jenuine Healing is our YouTube. And you can, people can experience our wedding and our relationship through our gender jammies and our pillow talk and our fireside chats.
I recommend it because I've been watching. I've watched them when you sent them through, and they're great. And I watched your wedding just today as well, and I'm so glad I did because yeah, it was very beautiful. Like I said earlier on. So yeah, thanks for all the shares, and it's nice to see that. And I'm very very pleased for you both. Please know that very pleased. I know when we first came on it, it's all business and work, but I mean, I do, I am happy for you. So just know that as well. And hey, I guess rather than seeing you in America in the future in person, I'll probably be seeing you over there in person in Australia.
You'll have to come visit us. I'm if people are really into getting healed, I have a healing massage room where I can do hands-on healing. I couldn't I couldn't do it in America because it's too expensive for people to afford, but they want it. And so they can get all their little knots, they can understand what the past life issue was, and it takes a long time and it takes a lot out of me. But if you're going to be in Australia, you might as well come and get a hands-on healing
Yeah,
session
and
for
for all
that.
those souls that are in Australia that resonate with your work, of course, they can travel to you as well. You're
Yeah.
available. Yeah, they contact you to get that booked. So Okay, well, thank you for sharing the poetry as well. I do appreciate that. And thank you for coming back on. And I look forward to working with yourself and Marvin in the not too distant future on my new platform, the International Spiritual News Network, which is starting next year. And yeah, excited to see where all this goes and just that we're on this journey together. Thank you.
I saw that for you. I saw you being a global influence on my first. I told you that, and I've been rooting for you the whole time. Not that I can take credit or anything, but yeah, like me and Marvin have your back, and we're really excited for you. So anything we can do to help you, just let
Well,
us know.
I'm sure that we'll be crossing paths with the Iceland. I know we will. I know we will because
Mhm.
this is something a little bit different, and it's I enjoy doing something different because that's what I really wanted.
Yeah,
So
it's
yeah,
needed too. There's a
yes,
space in this world. You're filling a needed space.
it's a crazy thing to to have given myself the idea back so many years ago, and now it's actually happening. I do find that well, not crazy. I don't find it crazy. I just I'm like, is this really happening? And
Yeah.
it is, and
And
yeah.
what's really cool about your higher self is it knew that you couldn't handle it consciously because that would just be too much. So it gave it to you in one of these sessions and like buried it for you to like get used to it at your own pace. So that's really cool.
It did, and it's yeah. I don't think I would have been ready for it back then, and but definitely I can feel it building now. Hence why it's starting to happen as well. And my heart goes with you as well for because you'll be going through immigration. I would have thought there'd be some sort of immigration process. I'm still going through immigration in America
Get out.
for yeah. I'm still in the immigration process from when I first spoke to you all that time ago. Hence why I'm still in Wisconsin and yeah, I can sympathize with you. Let me just say that, right? So
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yeah,
So we thought about you when we were filling out one of six
right,
pages
yes,
applications, like the fourth
yes.
time, and I hope he's done with this. It's
No, 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 no. I'm supposed to hear something back in October, and but I'm just getting on with my life. And my advice to you would be to do the same. But you've got someone with you seeing it through, and it's so very different. So I know you will appreciate that. And
absolutely.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And but yeah. So best of luck with all that as well. Not that you need it; it's all going to go through. But yes, I just want to leave my love with you and just thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. And you have my love as well. You have both of our love. Thank you.